Hi, I hope you're doing good. A couple of days ago, I got this notification saying that The Guardian released the best novels of all time list, the 100 best novels. And that obviously sounded intriguing. I've seen some other people talk about it already and about how their reading compares to the list, whether they agree or not. And I thought, just for myself as well, it'd be interesting to see if I've read anything, if I've heard of anything, if I didn't like something, if I agree, if I don't agree, if I'm interested to read anything or not. So yeah, I thought we would go through the list together. I have not actually, full transparency, I had not looked at this list at all, and I still haven't looked at the entire list, but I actually started this video already, and I got to book 92 or something, 90, and then I realized that my mic wasn't properly plugged in, so you couldn't even hear me. So we're here to start again. So full transparency, like I said, the first 10 books I have seen, but the rest I have not seen yet, and I'm really intrigued to see the rest. The 10 I've already seen, I'll kind of go through them, but honestly, I'm not going to go through the synopses or whatever of all of them, because otherwise we're going to sit here for hours. Let's start the recording. Let's see, so the 100th book was My Antonia by Willa Cather. I've never heard of this book before, but it looks interesting. I'm gonna add it to my classics radar. Also, I am wondering if the list is gonna be very like what was exposed to the US market centric, or if it'll be very much novels from very much all over the world. I don't know, that'll be interesting to see. But let's continue. Number 99, we have The Go-Between by L.P. Hartley. I've also never heard of this, honestly. I'm gonna, after this video, probably go through everything, add them all to like my classics radar and so on. Number 98, The Road by Cormac McCarthy. I have heard of this. I can't say it's ever piqued my interest enough to want to read it. Obviously, I see it a lot, and I've seen a lot of people love it, but I've also seen quite a few people be like, it was mediocre. So I don't know, I've been hesitant to pick it up. I would definitely need to be convinced to read this. Next we have Catch-22 by Joseph Keller. This is something I have not read, and I desperately need to read, because I mean, it's such a big part of our language as well. I mean, you hear a Catch-22 situation the whole time, and even though I kind of understand what is meant by saying a Catch-22 situation, I have no idea, where it came from, and I would really love to read the original. So this is high on my classics radar list. Then number 96, Pedro Páramo by Juan Rulfo. I have actually read this. This is, if I remember correctly, a Mexican book, and when I went into this, I didn't expect it to be the way it was, which is not the book's fault, it was my fault. This was very magical realism, kind of fever dreamish. You didn't really know what was real, what wasn't, and I kind of expected a normal storyline when I went into it, so I was honestly confused for a lot of the book. Now knowing what it's like, I think if I reread it, I would probably enjoy it more. Not that I didn't enjoy it, but I was just, like I said, quite confused for a lot of it, so that needs to be reread, I think. Then we have The Return of the Native by Thomas Hardy. I've honestly never heard of this book. I really like the cover, and I mean, just from the title and the cover, it does look very interesting. It kind of looks like a children's book, but maybe it isn't. I don't know. I assume it is some American story or Canadian story, just because of the title. The Known World by Edward P. Jones. Yeah, okay, so this is again another piece of American fiction that probably, if you are from the US, you have probably seen this book more. I don't know, maybe not, maybe I'm just uneducated. That could very well be as well. But I've never heard of this book either. It definitely looks interesting, and it won the Pulitzer Prize. Maybe I need to look at the Pulitzer Prize more. Next we have Invisible Cities by Italo Calvino. I own If on a Winter's Night a Traveler by Italo Calvino. I have not read it. I really want to, but I'm so intimidated by it for some reason. I don't know why. I think I could enjoy it. I hope so. But maybe after I read this, I could check out Invisible Cities, since it is on this list. And if I check, the man has a lot of books. So if I do like the book, I'll probably go back to his whole backlist. And I see here there's a book called Why Read the Classics. I'll check that one out. That sounds interesting. Also, side note, I really like this cover. It's a very nice cover. Next, okay, let's go down here. Sentimental Education by Gustave Flaubert. I have not read any Gustave Flaubert. I think Gustave Flaubert also wrote Madame Bovary. Not read it, but I've heard multiple times it is supposedly one of the best novels of all time, or best classics novels, I don't know. So definitely very intrigued. So maybe after I read that one, I can get to Sentimental Education. Next we have Life and Fate by Vasily Grossman. Honestly, never heard of it. Definitely, or probably some war book, I don't know. I will check it out. Oh, I like this cover so much more. This is a long book. It says, for readers drawn to sweeping historical epic exploring the collision between individual dignity and ideological tyranny. That does sound very interesting. Okay, next we have Jacob's Room by Virginia Woolf. I have read 3 books by Virginia Woolf so far. I've read To the Lighthouse, The Waves, and Orlando. I own A Room of One's Own and Mrs. Dalloway. So those will be my next ones, especially Mrs. Dalloway will probably be my next one. And then I guess after that I'll get to Jacob's Room. I really like Virginia Woolf, even though I get why people don't like her as well. Anyway, I think this is up to where I had already recorded, so I think after this I genuinely have no idea what comes after anymore. Next, The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula K. Le Guin. I've not read this, but I've heard so many good things about this, especially Ursula K. Le Guin. I mean, she's one of the fantasy classics. I was interested in Ursula K. Le Guin, but then the Catch Up Book Club did a catch up of I think the Earthsea series or so, and they all really didn't enjoy it. So it kind of scared me off of Ursula K. Le Guin. But I think The Left Hand of Darkness is one I've heard really good things about. So maybe I should look at that. A masterpiece from one of the great writers of the 20th century. Sounds interesting. Next, let's see. Ragtime by E.L. Doctorow. Never heard of this. Honestly, what the hell? I did not expect to know so few of these books. Let's look at what Ragtime is about. For readers drawn to reflective historical fiction centered on the intersection of systemic injustice and the pursuit of dignity. Sounds very good too. Okay, next. The Line of Beauty by Alan Hollinghurst. Never heard of it. Cover does not intrigue me too much, but one isn't supposed to judge a book by its cover. Next. The Turn of the Screw. That is a classic I've not read, but it's very high on my list. Next we have The Vegetarian by Han Kang. I read like years ago. I read maybe 50 or 40% of one of our other books. What is it called? Human Acts. I read 40 or 50% of Human Acts like years ago, and then I DNF'd it I think a year later because I couldn't get into it. But I think it's also the type of reader I was then. I was still newer to reading, and so I needed more books that grabbed your attention, and like the books we probably all started with, you know. Anyways, I know that The Vegetarian won, which one is it? The Nobel Prize in Literature, but it also won the International Booker Prize, and I've been wanting to go back and read the International Booker Prize, so I've been thinking of reading this one, even though it kind of scares me because I did DNF Human Acts, even though, like I said, I think I would like it if I read it now. It's a bit low on my priority list. Unless someone reads it and they're like 100% you need to, I could be convinced. Next, The Talented Mr. Ripley by Patricia Highsmith. Never heard of this. #1 greatest crime writer. Also never heard of this. This is so weird. Ripley, a moral, hedonistic, and charming, is a genuinely original creation. Okay, well, I'll definitely have a look at it. A Farewell to Arms by Ernest Hemingway. I have not read anything by Ernest Hemingway yet, but he very much intrigues me. And I think that's one of the next classical authors I want to dive into, because I think he has a lot of books as well. Maybe I'll start with this one. Next, we have The End of the Affair by Graham Greene. I have heard of Graham Greene. I don't know what book of his I know, but I've definitely seen the name somewhere. Oh, here, The Heart of the Matter is the one I've heard of. It is on my radar over here. Next, Buddenbrooks. Okay, I know of Thomas Mann. He wrote, is it The Mountain? I think The Mountain is on my radar. I am very intrigued by that book. The Magic Mountain. That would probably be my next read, but maybe afterwards I could read Buddenbrooks. Next, let's go down. Book 80 is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. Let me grab it. So I do own and have read Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I really like this book. It's definitely a slower read, at least the first 100 150 pages, but I felt myself relating to the FMC in a way that I would have never pictured, and I don't think that was even the point of the story at all. I had like a similar experience myself with my partner. My partner is not like 20-30 years older than me. He's a year older. But I had a similar experience of going into his world, to his home, which is very far from where I'm from, and kind of being thrown into this world where everyone's scrutinizing you. You know, you're the new girl in the small town, and everyone wants to see who he brought home, and feeling like you can't be yourself, and feeling like, I don't know, like you're overthinking who you are so much because people are scrutinizing you so much. I mean, she has like a character arc, and who she is towards the end is kind of where I feel I am now, or I have been in the last couple months maybe, but I still feel like I'm having my character arc, if that makes sense, regarding the situation. It hit something in me. I really liked it, and I would actually like to reread it now, knowing how it turns out. I think it's probably the type of book you can get more and more from the more you read it. I say this like I'm a big rereader. I think I've reread like 3 books in my life, 4 maybe. But if I ever turn into a rereader, this would probably be one of the first ones I do reread. Next, let's see, number 79, Go Tell It on the Mountain, James Baldwin. I read Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin, and I really liked it. I really liked it. Definitely want to get into more James Baldwin. A House for Mr. Bezois by V.S. Naipaul. I have heard of this author. This name sounds very familiar. V.S. Naipaul. I've added this to my Around the World challenge, that's for sure. Okay, Trinidad and Tobago. Maybe if I read Trinidad and Tobago, might start with this one then. Then we have The Rainbow. I actually have it. The Rainbow by D.H. Lawrence. This is really interesting that it's on here, because I don't even know how it got onto my TBR, but somewhere I saw it. It looked interesting, and every time I went through my Storygraph TBR to kind of get rid of the books I realize I'm not interested in anymore, this one still always survived that killing off of books. It intrigued me, and then I found it in a secondhand bookstore, and with a lot of D.H. Lawrence's books, but then I was like, let me first read one and see how I feel about it. This is actually motivating me to read it. Next row again. Oh, okay. Dracula by Bram Stoker. I have read this. I own it. I just don't have it here. I honestly didn't like this that much. I really struggled to get through this book. However, I also am coming slowly but surely to the realization that I might not like vampires. It kind of freaks me out, and it just, something about it is not for me. Although I don't think that's the reason I disliked Dracula. The writing to me was so this wasn't necessarily for me. The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. I have also read this. I liked it, but it's not my favorite book. I've been thinking of trying her other books to see if maybe I prefer those, because I mean a lot of people like them, so like I believe them that they're good. Next, Nervous Conditions by Tsitsi Tangaremga. Okay, so I guess this list is a little bit more around the world. I don't have it with me, but I do own it. It's in Namibia. Very intrigued by it. Obviously, it's a Zimbabwean book, which is why I had initially bought it like years ago. It's been on my TBR for ages, and I still haven't read it, but I've been seeing it more and more again. But honestly, I just really need to get to it. Austerlitz by W.G. Sebald. Is this a German book? Austerlitz could be. Next up, we have Our Mutual Friend by Charles Dickens. Charles Dickens is an author I've not ventured into yet. Obviously, I do want to read him because it's Charles Dickens, and I mean there's so much that is based off of his novels. I want to read David Copperhead, which is obviously based on, David Copperfield by Charles Dickens, as well as other books being based on A Tale of Two Cities. And I've heard Hard Times being recommended a lot. Hard Times right now actually interests me the most by Dickens, but yeah, I'm gonna have to get into him at some point. Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. I have read this and I really liked it. It deserves all the hype. It's not an easy read always in terms of content, but it is an easy hard read. Like it's very accessible, approachable, if you wanna say that. And we have Jude the Obscure by Thomas Hardy. We have Thomas Hardy again. Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. My sister, right, she doesn't read a lot. She'll read like 2-3 books a year, but the girl reads like Russian classics and stuff. She read Crime and Punishment, loved it. Then she read Brothers Karamazov, and I think now she's looking at War and Peace, which I find that crazy. Crime and Punishment is a book I will conquer one day. Not right now. I technically own War and Peace, which I'm sure is going to come up soon. And then we have Blood Meridian, another Cormac McCarthy. Never heard of it. I don't know much about Cormac McCarthy, to be honest. The Man Without Qualities by Robert Musil. I've never heard of this. I like the cover. And the title is cool. The Master and the Margarita by Mikhail Bulgakov. I read this. I really struggled with it when I read it. I would not have completed it if I hadn't listened to half of it or so. I think I read 50% and then audiobooked 50%. I really struggled. really struggled. Granted, it was probably because I was also trying to blast through it and not take my time with it. It's definitely one of the things that I'm more aware of now to just try not to do. But The Master and the Margarita, yeah, I don't know, I didn't love it. Next, The Color Purple by Alice Walker. This is very high on my list. I don't own it, but I really want to read it. I've heard nothing but good things. One of my friends also loves it, so I definitely want to read this. Next up, number 64, The Good Soldier by Ford Maddox Ford. I also recently added him to some around the world list. And by the way, on Storygraph, I have a challenge that is for reading around the world, and I've at this point added like more than 7,000 books on there, just so that I wouldn't have to do research later and instead just do research once for a week or two straight and then have all the books and authors in one place. White Teeth by Zadie Smith. This is a book I gifted to my mother like a year or two ago, not knowing the content. I think, from what I understand, it's quite brutal. If I'd known that, I would have probably not gifted it to my mother, but maybe if I go visit her, maybe I should read that. Half of a Yellow Sun by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I don't know if I said that correctly. I have Purple Hibiscus by them, which is in Vivia right now, so not with me. But obviously, you know, this is an author you hear about all the time. Next, we have The Rings of Saturn by, again, W.G. Sebald? I don't know. Never heard of this this author ever, but the title of the book kind of sounds familiar. Next up, we have Howard's End by Ian Forster. I've not read any Ian Forster, but I'm very interested in their work. I think the first book that I would read by them, the book that I am most interested in, is A Passage to India. That one would probably be my first book, but in general I see so much Ian Forster. I think also A Room with a View, I think, is also by them. I'm also highly intrigued by that one. Next, okay, Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. I read this in 2020, I think, when I was getting into the booktube hype and so on. I didn't really like this, and this is one of the books where I think even if I read it now, I still think I would not like it. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't really understand the hype around it, but I mean, clearly I'm the odd one out. Next we have Disgrace by J.M. Coetzee, a South African author. I'm pretty sure J.M. Coetzee is. Cool, okay. I've not read Coetzee. This is definitely an author that I'd be very intrigued to read more of, because I think they also have a lot of books out. The Sound and the Fury by William Faulkner. What did William Faulkner write? I recognize his name. There's some book, surely, or maybe I've just seen his name everywhere in bookstores. It's probably that. Also an author I need to get into. There's a lot of men here. Anyways, we're almost halfway. Mansfield Park by Jane Austen. No, I have not read this one. I've read Pride and Prejudice, Emma, and Northanger Abbey. And then over here, I have Persuasion to read next. I read the other ones as an ebook, but this one I found like for free in a little corner of Napoli in Italy, and I was like, yep, I guess. I mean, I can't pass up a free Jane Austen book, so I got it. So this will be my next one. I'm not rushing Jane Austen too much, since obviously she's not writing or publishing anymore, and I really loved her other books, so I'll be sad the day I finish them all. But this is one of the authors I really want to collect beautiful editions of her books. I'm not someone that owns multiple copies of one book. I just mean, like, you know, get those pretty cloth-bound classics also of all her works. The Waves by Virginia Woolf. This is one of my top tier favorite, all-time favorite books. I loved this so much. This spoke to my soul truly spoke to the depth of my soul, and I will never forget this book. And I don't care if it wasn't always perfect, because yeah, some areas, some parts of the book I can recognize where yeah, I don't care. This was so good, so good. Orlando. I have this cover, but this cover is so ugly. I'm not someone who cares about covers very much. I like a pretty cover, but I don't need a pretty cover. But this is just ugly in my opinion. I really don't like this. This is so much prettier. I liked it, but I preferred her other two books that I've read by her. I mean, like I said, The Waves and To the Lighthouse. I see why this is a classic. Doesn't mean I necessarily enjoyed it, because I think this is a slog, a proper slog to get through. And you need to understand, Virginia Woolf is a slog anyways, but I usually enjoy the slog. With this one, it made actually zero sense at all. So yeah, I kind of feel about this one. Next we have The Transit of Venus by Shirley Hazard. Never heard of it. Then, okay, we are now nearing the halfway point. The Golden Ball by Henry James. I've never heard of this. I think Henry James also wrote The Turn of the Screw, correct? Maybe after I read The Turn of the Screw, I'll read The Golden Ball. Oh. Then we have My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. I know a lot of people love this book. I really didn't like it. I have realized that I do not like following teenager/young kids that, in my opinion, are just really annoying. And that's how I felt about My Brilliant Friend. I didn't find anything profound about, like, I get that it's about female friendships and so on. I'm sure that if I read the next books, I would enjoy them more just because of the age of the protagonists. I really didn't enjoy this book. So right now, at least, I do not feel at all tempted to read the rest of the series. And when I was still deciding whether I should read on with the series, because I was like, yeah, maybe I'm sure I'll like it more if I continue. So I saw that she had another book called The Lost Daughter. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'll read this. If I like it, then I'll continue on with the Neapolitan novels series. If I don't, I'll DNF. I DNF The Lost Daughter. I really did not like it. So I think maybe Elena Ferrante is just not for me. Oh, Wide Sargasso Sea by Jean Rhys. Is that how you pronounce it? I am so excited to read this book. I own it. I have it in Germany. The second I go to Germany in a month and a half, that is the first book I'm picking up. I'm so excited. I've read Jane Eyre, and when I found out that this is meant to be a prequel, I jumped on it. And on top of that, the author is Dominican, I think, from Dominica. Not from the Dominican Republic, but from Dominica. So this is super high on my list. Next, we have A Fine Balance by Rohinton Mystery. I've never heard of this book. A sweeping historical drama centered on the endurance of the human spirit against systemic cruelty. That sounds very interesting though. Oh, we are officially past the 50 book mark. The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. I read this at school, and I think I've seen enough of it in my life. However, if I read it now, I would probably enjoy it. It's just that, you know, it's one of those school books that I've looked at way too much in my life. Next, we have Vanity Fair by William Makepeace Thackeray. Never read it. I think I've seen it once or twice, but I actually don't know much about it. Next, we have The Leopard by, this is an Italian name, Giuseppe di Lampedusa. Lampedusa. I am probably butchering that, but I recognize this title. I think I have this as an Around the World book. Is he Italian? Is it an Italian? Yeah, okay. It's an Italian author. I have this book saved for my Around the World challenge. But interesting to see it on this list. Then we have The Golden Notebook by Doris Lessing. I've seen Doris Lessing, this name, many times, but I actually don't know anything about her or about her books. It says here winner of Nobel Prize. I'm so out of the loop with awards. Okay, then we have Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. I read this. I really enjoyed it. A wonderful book, a really well-written book. I recommend this to anyone and everyone, and it's so quick, so short, so easy to read. It flows so well. Then we have Housekeeping by Marilyn Robinson. Never heard of it. It looks cool though. The Magic Mountain by Thomas Mann. Okay, so this is the book I want to read first by him. Haven't read it, super intrigued by it. Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. This is also a book that has been on my list for a while, and definitely very intrigued by it. Next, we have Song of Solomon by Toni Morrison. I've only read The Bluest Eye by her, but like I said, I do want to explore more of hers. I just don't know what to explore. Maybe if you have recommendations, I'll happily take them. Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. I've heard this title before. Since it's blurred by Alice Walker, it might be also an American novel. It looks cool, the cover is very pretty. Age of Innocence by Edith Wharton. I've seen this name so many times in the classic section of bookstores. This is definitely, I'm very intrigued by it. Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. Also heard a lot of good things. Haven't read it. Now we're getting to book number 36, The Handmaid's Tale. I have not read this. I do own it. It is in Namibia right now. I really want to read it, even though I've been told by a couple of friends, like, make sure that you're in the right state of mind before you read it. So I am going into it with that in the back of my mind, but I really want to read it. I found this really cool second-hand copy of it as well. Next we have Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. Like I said, need to get into Charles Dickens, haven't started with him yet. Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel. I've definitely considered reading this book. I don't know if you've heard of it, but there's this series called the Shard Lake series by C.J. Sansom. First book is Dissolution, and it's about, from what I understand, about the same time period as Wolf Hall. So I am very interested in this time period, but a part of me is also like, I also just read a 7-book series about this time period. Maybe this will give me more of an insight, but I don't know, the way I'm feeling about it right now, I could be very interested to read it, but give me like another 5 years maybe. Then we have David Copperfield. Like I said, I want to get into Charles Dickens, and I want to read David Copperfield before I read David Copperhead. And I know you definitely don't need to read it to read hers, but I want to. Then we have The God of Small Things, which I do have over here. This was actually on my TBR for this month. We are nearing the end of this month. I honestly don't know if I'm gonna still get to it, but it's definitely gonna be one of my next reads. And I have not read anything by Arundhati Roy before, but I do have The God of Small Things and A Ministry of Happiness, which I think are her only 2 fiction books. I anticipate really enjoying her. Next we have The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie by Muriel Spark. I feel like I've heard the name Muriel Spark before. Never heard of it. Frankenstein. I've not read Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. It is sitting, waiting for me in Germany. White Sargasso Sea and Frankenstein are probably the first books I'm reading the second I set foot in Germany, because I'm so hyped for both of them. I'm so excited to finally get to Frankenstein. Everyone seems to love it, and I really hope I do too. I'm kind of scared I don't, but I'm hoping I do. I know we're pretty far into the video right now, but if you guys can hear the trams in the background, they're so loud, and I apologize for that. I definitely cannot wait to move back to non-city places. Anyways, next we have Pale Fire by Vladimir Nabokov. I have not read this, I don't own this, but this has been on my list since I started the Around the World Challenge, I think, which has been maybe 5 years now. Next, The Brothers Karamazov by Fyodor Dostoevsky. It's interesting that this one is ranked higher than Crime and Punishment, when I feel like I know more people that prefer and that think that Crime and Punishment is better. I would probably start with Crime and Punishment with him, but who knows, I will one day have to jump over my shadow and read him. The Trial by Franz Kafka. I know that there are so many books based on this book, which means that I will probably have to read it sometime soon. But also, am I looking forward to reading it? Not really. Don Quixote by Miguel de Cervantes. This is like the Count of Monte Cristo, War and Peace, Crime and Punishment, like those thick-ass classics on my list that I just need to get to one day, no matter how freaking scary they are. Then we have Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. I do not know if I want to read this. I have a lot of rage for men and age gaps and being into younger girls and grooming and all that stuff. Any type of concerning behaviors from adults. So honestly, I really don't know if I want to read this. I feel like part of me thinks I should, just because it is like a proper classic, but also I'm really scared of it, to be honest. Then we have The Remains of the Day by Kazuo Ishiguro. Like I said, I didn't really like Never Let Me Go, so I kind of wrote off Kazuo Ishiguro. But if you've read The Remains of the Day and you think it's better than Never Let Me Go, or if you dislike Never Let Me Go but like The Remains of the Day, convince me to read it. Okay, then we have Midnight's Children by Salman Rushdie. I do own Victory City, so that will be the first book I read by Salman Rushdie, but I will definitely read more of him because I mean he's everywhere. Oh, we We have Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. I have the whole trilogy right here. Loved it. If you watch my other videos, this is one of my top all-time books. Right now, it might also be recency bias. Right now, I prefer Arrow of God, which is the third book, but who knows? Maybe in a couple months, I'll be back to Things Fall Apart. But this is this whole series, highly recommend. Okay, next, The Portrait of a Lady by Henry James. Henry James again. Okay, seems like I really urgently need to get into this author. Next, book number 20, we're getting to the end. Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I really heavily dislike this book, especially the people selling this as romance. Why? That's my biggest pet peeve, is people selling something that is very much not romance, and especially if it's some type of abuse and people still go selling it as a romance. I have no understanding for that, and I think that can be so dangerous too. Anyways, not my book at all. Then we have The Life and Opinions of Tristram Shandy, Gentleman by Lawrence Stern. Never heard of this. Persuasion by Jane Austen. Like I already said, that is my next book by hers to read. Okay, then we have 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Have not read it. I really need to get to it. I've owned this since forever and I've been wanting to read it since forever. I'm just so intimidated by it and I don't know why, but I need to get over it, because this needs to be read. I'm going to try and read it this year. This year is the year that I read this book. Watch me. I'm so scared. Book 16, 1984. I have the Portuguese version here. Big Brother is watching you. I like this cover so much. Isn't it so cool? I have read the English version and I loved it. That is a 5-star book for me. I loved A Brave New World and 1984. Maybe A Brave New World is gonna pop up here. I don't know. I loved both. And since I've been learning Portuguese, I was looking at books I could read in Portuguese. And so yeah, I got 1984 and I also got Animal Farm. And I love these editions. They're so cool. I don't know how it'll be with all the invented words too. I'm probably gonna have to write down a list of all the invented words in here so that I don't go thinking that it's Portuguese when it's not. Okay, next up, Moby Dick by Herman Melville. This is so intimidating. I don't know if I want to read it. I probably will one day, but that's not gonna happen in the near future. That's for sure. There are about a billion other classics that I'm more interested in right now. Oh, and then we have Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. This is probably the next book of hers I'm gonna read. How cool is this edition? Thing on the back, just cute. The spine is cute. Yeah, super excited. Like I said, I love a Virginia Woolf. So I don't know what else to say. Oh my goodness. You know, books with a really long introduction that spoil the whole book for you. I don't get that. Why are you putting that at the beginning? Ooh, I love when books include suggestions for further reading. The other book I'm reading right now, which is actually The Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi, also has suggestions for further reading at the back. I love it when books do that. Next, Emma by Jane Austen. I have read this. I didn't like it as much as the others. I read this directly after reading Pride and Prejudice, and I just expected it to be like Pride and Prejudice, which, you know, it's my own fault. I think, again, if I read it again, I would enjoy it more, but I still enjoyed it. It was just not my favorite. Number 15, Bleak House by Charles Dickens. Again, want to get into him. The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I know people love this story. I honestly didn't love it. In my opinion, it's extremely overrated. But again, I think I'm the unpopular opinion there. Madame Bovary. Like I said, really want to read this book. I had for some reason not heard of it up until pretty recently, which is weird, but now I really want to read it. Then we have Pride and Prejudice. Read it, loved it. It was so funny, so unserious kind of, while being serious. I don't know, I loved it. It was so good. It's a really great book to get you into classics. Book number 8, Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I read this, I liked this. I liked the first half way more, where you just follow Jane on her own without a Mr. Rochester, because the whole relationship is kind of really weird and it's not romance. Again, I feel the same like with Wuthering Heights. I don't think that's like a very romantic relationship. I genuinely don't understand what people find romantic about it. I don't get it, but yeah, I mean, I liked it. Like I said, I preferred her on her own. War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. I own it, but I'm so terrified of it. So yeah, I'll have to read it one day. Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy as well. Haven't read it, really want to read it. I don't know if I should just buy Anna Karenina and read it first before War and Peace, even though I own War and Peace. I don't know, it just, Anna Karenina for some reason scares me less. In Search of Lost Time by Marcel Proust. Yeah, never heard of it. And then we have, oh wow, this is high up on the list. We have To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf, which I have read and I loved. Part 1 was my favorite. Part 2 I really enjoyed. And then part 3, they were like sections that I really, really enjoyed. I underlined so much. This is my second favorite Virginia Woolf book. So good. So good. I loved it. And then we have Ulysses by James Joyce. I have not read it, but super intrigued by it. Super scared of it too, but super intrigued by it. Book number 2, Beloved by Toni Morrison. See, this is the book that I would probably read next by her because, I mean, it's beloved. Everyone loves it, and I'm hoping that I will like it more than The Bluest Eye. Then let's go to book number 1, Middlemarch by George Eliot. That is so interesting. Okay, well, I really want to read Middlemarch, and I guess the top 3 in general. Maybe one day I'll go through this list and make sure I tick everything off. But yeah, this was fun. I hope you didn't get too bored, and let me know if you agree with this. If not, if you have read something that I have not, which of these books would you tell me to read next? Or of the books I have not even heard of, is there one where you would say you need to read that right now? Like, absolutely, add that to your TBR. Other than that, if you're still here, thank you.